go live now.
Okay.
And it takes a moment. So just smile, smile, smile. Looks like we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to How She Did It. This is one of my How She Did It interviews with the amazing Debbie Handrich. How are you, Debbie?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing so good. I'm doing so good because I'm really excited that you're here. So before we dive in, I'm just going to pop into my Facebook group and see if I can see us live, because that always makes me feel better. Oh, I do see us live. Great. So if you are here live with us, would you drop a comment into the comment section, and that way we'll be able to answer your questions. So we're here to share with you how our Academy graduate, Debbie Handrich, went from kind of having a hobby business to having 10K months as a book coach. So you go to Debbie if you want to get a book that's in your heart into your hands and out into the marketplace. You go to Debbie and you work with her in her amazing signature program. So definitely going to give you an opportunity to tell us all about that program. But tell us where you live and just like, who is Debbie?
Well, I lived in the Seattle area for most of my life, and I was a writing teacher in the colleges for a couple decades, and I loved it. I loved my students. I couldn't ever imagine doing anything else, but I was broke, and I had a boyfriend, an entrepreneur. And he just kept saying, you know, there's this spirituality in you, there's this life coach in you, there's this girl that's not getting to express herself the way I think you want to. And if it wasn't for his encouragement, I probably wouldn't have taken the leap, as well as
That's
for
amazing. I didn't know that part of your story. That's actually really cool. Kudos to him.
Truly. Yeah.
Take him out to dinner, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And now you can.
Right. Finally. It all started there. I was working with students and their essays, their stories, their fiction, and I loved it. But the longest piece of writing you get from someone is, 8 to 10 pages. And I could see these books in people. And I knew there were people out there that weren't writing their books because they just didn't have someone to take them by the hand and get that first draft out of their head that they've been dreaming about on paper. And that's really what I do.
That's amazing. I can't wait to hear a little bit more. Let's take people back to when you and I met. So it was fall 2018. So it's been 2 years that we've been in each other's world. And you and I had a mutual friend, colleague, who's an amazing stylist in the Seattle area. And she had worked with me on charging her worth and creating packages and just developing her business a little bit. And she referred you to me, right? Mm-hmm. And then you and I got on the phone. I remember it specifically. You know why I remember it? Because I was at my parents' cabin and I'm pretty sure I was in their bathroom. And I don't know why, but probably because it's a small cabin. And that's basically where I was hosting my consultation. I don't think you ever knew that.
That's so funny.
Very nice bathroom, but yeah, I think that was the only private room I could find to have my conversation with you. This is what we do as entrepreneurs, right? We work it out, we figure it out. So I was on like a little staycation, still, working and stuff. And so, yeah, that's where I was. And tell everyone where like you felt your business was in a hobby stage, because you were already helping people with their books at that point. You had delved into that, but what was the state of affairs of the business at that point?
I was really in a lot of denial that the things that I was dreaming about a future business could happen, but I was also in denial that the things I was doing would never lead to that. I just wasn't seeing it. I have this side of me that can be organized, and I have this side of me that can create and dream. And the creator dreamer just wanted to completely take the reins and not, I don't know. I was just in a real wishful thinking. If I wish for it, I can have it, sort of thing. If I show up every day, I can have it. And it was crushing when I started to learn I might fall in the category of a hobby business.
Yeah.
I might not.
Yeah. And it's like, I mean, I think it's like, we don't have to have shame about it, but also just getting in reality and saying like, okay, if I want this to be a business that pays all of my bills and I can create, abundance and really make a living, what do I need to do? So what was going on with your lead generation at that point? Like, did you have a lot of leads? Were you struggling to get like 5 people who were banging down your door and saying, help me write my book? Like, what was going on with lead generation?
I took for granted that I had a huge following. My boyfriend and I had a radio show together. It was a global radio show, not a studio-based one. And we had 300,000 people that followed us. So I'm thinking, I'm sending out a newsletter. There's got to be a few people here that want to write a book. But what I didn't understand was how to make that a business. I really didn't get it all. And so, like I said, that there were referrals that would lead to sales, but how to work with just people listening to us on the show, really developing a presence on social media, all of that was a mystery.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because a lot of people come to us and they may have 10,000 followers on Instagram, or they may say like, I've got all these followers on Facebook. I think this is a unique thing to talk about, because I get people in both camps. Some people come to us in the academy and they're like, I don't even have a following. They don't even realize that they have this untapped audience and pent up demand that's there. And then I get people in your situation where like, I've got all these people that come to my radio show or that follow me online, and yet they're not able to monetize that. They're not able to, they may have some sales here and there, but they're not really able to translate that into, it's like, why do I have all these followers and I can't get enough discovery sessions of people who actually want the service that I offer? So I remember that the way your business was running at that time was, I think it sometimes can feel like luck, like you have a positive disposition, you show up, and like, people trickle in, referrals trickle in, but it doesn't feel like you have a lot of control in that situation, right? Because it's sort of like, oh, I got lucky and I got someone, versus when you're forging a business, you start to create an energy where it draws people in versus just sort of waiting for clients to fall from the sky. Would you say that that's kind of where you were at then, where it was like you had people coming forward, but just not consistently the way that you wanted?
Yeah, you guys really helped me see that there were plenty of people in my world, but I wasn't keeping them in my world.
Yeah.
And I knew how to do that at a college, but I had no idea how as an entrepreneur. And my fear was the common fear that many of us have, which is as soon as I start talking about money and what it's going to cost, they'll go away. So let's just have another discovery call.
Oh, you're bringing me back. So this is what happens in the academy, ladies. Like, we get to know you so well, and we are just so in the trenches. So you're reminding me. Yeah. So Debbie would let me know, like, we're like outing ourselves here. This is okay. This is a safe community, but put in the comments if you've had that situation where you talk to people multiple times before enrolling them, or sometimes then you still don't enroll them. You're like, my God, I've done 2 or 3 discovery sessions. I've followed up with this person.
Yeah.
They're not, so if you've had that situation, just let us know in the comments, like just write multiple discovery sessions. Cause I do remember that you're such a sweetheart, and, you're so generous with your time, and you so love to help people. And, that sometimes in business, it can be like a blessing and a curse. It depends how you use it. We have to create boundaries around how we use our big heart. And Yeah, I do remember you would have multiple calls with someone. And so we worked a lot on sales so that, how do you, first of all, how do you create a message that draws people in? We'll get to that next. And then once you draw people in, how do you enroll someone from one conversation? So what is it that you remember, or what is it that it's been working for the last couple of years that you've held on to?
One thing I remember a lot was I didn't feel comfortable with the accountability of what was going on in the calls. So I'd start a Zoom call or I'd have interference with the Zoom call, and I just think it doesn't matter. We'll just have our talk. It's about the talk. And what I came to understand was that so often I was willing to have a talk before I had a sense of, was the client ready to be a client? And I don't do that anymore.
So you pre-qualify people now.
Yes.
That's
yes.
Awesome.
I knew there was a Jessica Riverson.
There's a word for it. Yeah. That's a big thing that we teach in the academy, right? Like pre-qualify, because I remember how many times you would get on the phone with people that were they weren't that serious. I mean, bless their hearts, but they weren't ready. They weren't serious. They were kind of kicking the tire a little bit, and it's not in service to you or to them to really spend an hour talking about something they're not going to take action on right now.
And you know what I found out from the ladies in the Evergreen program is that a lot of us had previous jobs where part of our tasks in those previous jobs was to help the underdog feel, I don't know, qualified, to feel gratified, to feel validated. And so I was bringing some of these skills from my past that weren't serving me in my business.
Yeah. I mean, I think corporate America is very different than running your own business. It's completely different. And that's so true. There's sort of like habits we need to unlearn. And the thing is, your love for people and your generosity and your big heart, that hasn't changed at all. It's just that you have systems and structures in place now that can honor your clients, honor your time, and make the whole system kind of work and flow. So let's talk about your messaging, because I think a big part of attracting clients, if we don't have a message that really clicks with people, it's hard to get enough discovery sessions. I mean, if we just want to take all the magic out, which we would never want to take all the magic out, but if we set the magic aside and we just talk numbers, if you have a certain number of discovery sessions every month and you have a great offering and you get on the phone with the right people, you will make enrollments. You will get to your 10K, 20K months. Like, it will happen if you have a certain number of people booking calls with you. They're pre-qualified, so they're, the right people. You have the perfect offer for the problem they have. It's all going to work. So what was your message like when we started?
Oh, I can't even, it was a horribly vague message, because it was all of my spiritual desire. But what it changed to, I think it was something about how I work with people that have gone through a survival story.
Mm-hmm.
I think it had something to do with that. But I changed it to, I work with first, second, and third time authors who want to move the dream of their book to a printed draft.
Ooh, I love that. So that right there is her result statement. And I think this is the latest iteration, and it's really good. But that is one of the first things we did, is start to create a result statement where someone could hear it and go, oh, that's me. And they lean in and they want to read what you have to say, or listen to, if you're on the radio or a video, they lean in. So what has your response been with that new messaging?
Well, it's a much better response, but I think part of it too is that I had to align with that practical language around it and allow myself to know that my heart and my soul is in it. I think that was my fear, was that if I don't tell people we're gonna let you share your memoir and how you survived this and your heroic journey. If I don't get those words in my results statement, they won't know what I'm really up to. And I didn't know order. I didn't know what went where. I was just kind of,
Yeah. Yeah. And that, I mean, I see people do that a lot where they change their messaging all the time because they're always afraid that they're not conveying all that they want to convey and that people won't see their heart. And I think one time I said to you, like, your spirituality in your heart, it will come through, and it's because it's an energy, right? So even if the words are a little bit more structured than how you would want to just talk about it, narrowing it down and being able to get that sound bite so people get it immediately, they're going to choose to work with you over someone else because of how you just the energy that you exude. And a good example of that is I'm way more spiritual and kind of woo in my messaging today than I ever was before. But since the beginning, I have always attracted super, super spiritual, super what you would call woo-woo people. That's like all my clients have been like that. And my messaging was way more masculine, way more businessy focused in the beginning. And so it took me a couple of years to reflect back and go, oh yeah, that's interesting. Like I've always been attracting those people. Now I'm just more, outward with my messaging in that, but it just happens, right? Your own energy is going to come through. So, okay, so this is what we did. We worked on your messaging. That was a big piece, and really revamping that. I remember one of the first messages we started using was, I see the book in you, which I still love for you because that's part of your intuitive psychic abilities where you can look at someone and see the book in them. So that, I remember that being one of the first messages we started kind of putting out there. And then we worked on the sales conversations, right? Because nobody wants to spend 3 different calls, enrolling someone who you could enroll in one call who's actually ready and who's actually pre-qualified. We worked on social media. So what happened with because I definitely saw a big shift in the way you started sharing your message on social media. So before, I think you would post sometimes, but it wasn't always a clear message of what does she exactly do? Mm-hmm. And now, what are your results with social media? What do you find?
Well, social media, you offered as part of your curriculum, along with the sales, you offered this opportunity to learn how to write a longer post that really called out to the results and the deliverables, and that it wasn't saying you have to work with me, but it provided a call to action. And there was something about that, I get to just be me, and I get to be a business owner, and I get to put spirit in charge of all this. And I'm allowed all that space on social media. I'm allowed, the word where you said permission to charge. I mean, it gave me permission to take up some space, take up some space and tell people that I see their experience because I've walked a longer time in their journey, as opposed to really telling them what we're going to do once they get here. Mm-hmm. And that's where I didn't understand the messaging so much before. I was always trying to tell them, we're going to meet these times, we're going to do this stuff, and you were saying, but that's.
Well, let me give a quick teaching here. So it's a difference of features and benefits. So on social media, or it doesn't matter whether it's your emails, your webinars, your posts, anywhere that you're going to put information or content, if you speak to the outcomes, the results, the benefits, it's like that 80-20 rule. If 80% of what you put out there speaks to the results, the outcomes, the benefits, and then only 20% speaks to the features, right? The features are, we're going to meet once a week, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, you're going to get a workbook, right? Those are, you can talk about that, but a lot of times as coaches and teachers, you have a teaching background, we love to talk about our process. And
Yeah.
so your tendency, which is most people, is to talk about the process because we geek out over the process of what we do
Totally.
and how we do it. And what people really need to see is like, I can solve your problem. Painting the picture of here's what your problem is. I understand it completely. I've been there, I've done that, and I can help you get this amazing result. And so making most of your content, painting those two pictures of what the problem is and what life looks like when you don't have that problem and your book is done and people are buying your book and you've changed the world with your book. That's the kind of messaging that has people leaning forward and saying, okay, Debbie, like, how do I work with you?
Right, right. You know, I wanted to tell you this story because I was recently working with a health coach, and I came to her and I said, it's just 10 pounds. I just need to move 10 pounds. And I've been, 80% workout and 20% diet. And she goes, oh, you got it reversed.
Yeah.
And I went, no, I don't. I'm walking, I'm moving, and then I eat these things and I slip in a little of that. And she's like, no, you got it reversed. And I felt like I just kept hearing you, like in business, that I'd share things with you and I'd go, look at what I'm doing. And you try to say, well, Debbie, let's switch that. And I think
it's so true. It's so true. I mean, if you put the right things in your 80%, wow, right? What a difference.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about your business model. When you came to me, you just had like private clients, right? So I'm curious, what is your business model like now? Is it private clients? Is it a group program? How does it work now?
Oh, I get you. Okay.
Sorry, I totally just switched gears.
No, it's fine. It's fine. And so through classes, yours and others, what I came to feel meshed with me was that January is a time I build up to for kind of a big launch.
Yeah.
But the rest of the year is a time of cultivating that group work. So I mean, you really got to be dedicated to now do the one-on-one. But most of what I'm doing is group. I have Evergreen. And what I like about it is that I could start to see that the ideal business model of working 25, 30 dedicated hours a week was very possible with that model. And it sure wasn't when everyone was a private client.
Yeah. So tell us about your program then in terms of the model. How many weeks long is the program?
So the program you're probably speaking of, it's first, second, and third time authors, because doesn't matter how many times you've written a book, you usually want your hand held to some degree. And so it's a 90-day program, and it's the book you've been dreaming about, not the one you thought of yesterday, the one you've been dreaming about. We get that on paper, the draft, the book on paper. And from there, there's all kinds of publishing options that you can go on with. But the whole core of it is to be on the call weekly with the other people in community and to be learning what it takes to really align. Because if you don't mind me saying so, I mean, your higher power is always aligned and ready to write your book. It's you that's over here.
Yes, I love that. I love that.
So we get that going.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love that. So the program, with it being evergreen 90 days, does that mean at any given time someone can jump in and start their 90 days?
Yes. Yeah, cool. At any given time they can. I find that, like I said, I lead up to January, so there's a lot of starting going on there.
A lot of people want to start in January, but it's good to know that you don't have to wait until January, but I can definitely see why you will have a lot of people enrolling and starting in January for sure, because it's that fresh start, new year type of energy. So going back to when Debbie started, she had private clients. She was, many of you might relate to this. She was really giving so much, it's not, this is what I see sometimes. It's not that your pricing was so low. It was because this is like a sneaky one. You had kind of really elevated your prices and started working on that even before we met. But when I dug into it, I realized what you were giving for that price was so much. So the price itself was like, okay, yeah, you're really like charging your worth and you're starting to really get into those premium prices. But when I found out all that you were delivering for that price point, which is, it's a really tricky one, right? Because it's one thing to finally be empowered to charge some of those more premium type of rates. But a lot of what I did this too, a lot of us, what we do is we are kind of sneaky with it and we end up giving all this other stuff. So when it comes down to it, it's really not a high-end price because, you know, so one thing that we did is like really show you how you could create an evergreen model. And the biggest thing people worry about, and I know that this is one of your things too, is results. My clients have to get amazing results. I will not sacrifice client results so I could charge more and make more money. Like none of us in this community would want that, right? Like myself, like that's not what we're about. We don't want to sacrifice client results at all. And so it's figuring out, how do you create a group program? How do you charge for your group program what you used to charge for private coaching, and now charge that for your group program where there's not as much of the one-on-one, but there's still direct, you know, access to you and feedback from you. How do you create a program without sacrificing client results? And so now that you're 2 years from the academy, what are some of your secrets of, because I know your clients get awesome results and they get their books done. Do you think that they're getting even better results now than when you had private clients because of the group dynamic?
I hate to admit it, but they are. They are.
Right?
They're getting
That's kind of a surprising bonus.
Yeah. Yeah. They're getting way better results. For one thing, what I realized is when you have a program and you're facilitating a community, you have a lot on the line and you show up. I mean, you show up. And I used to just reserve that for one-on-one. You know, I'd tire myself out and then I'd show up, you know, and instead now it's like, it's class time, you know, it's class time. And the people that want to pay the premium, we do the one-on-one, but otherwise it's just, this is our time to all show and be here and get aligned. And I don't worry about results anymore and people get them.
Yeah, exactly. I think that it takes a little time to move from an old business model of only doing one-on-one and then creating this evergreen group program and figuring out the nuances. But by and large, clients have adopted it and I have seen it work really, really well. And how many hours per week does it take you for delivery of your group program? What would you say? Because it's a week a call, right?
Put it in a container when you say delivery, the class time.
Okay. Yeah. Well, okay. So everything that you do to serve those group clients. So if you respond to emails, if you have class time, if you allow them to, like, I don't know, voice message you or something like that, just delivering every week, like hours per week.
It's 10, maybe 10. Okay.
Yeah. Because you're probably reading over stuff that they're doing, right? Like
the private ones.
The private ones. Oh, okay. So it's probably, most of them say that it takes them about 5 hours a week to deliver the program, between doing a once a week group call, maybe responding to emails, that it's taking them 5 hours ish, maybe could be 10, right? Per week. And that's scalable, right? So, you know, how, if you added 10 more people every month to your group program, how many more hours would that take you? Would you bring on maybe a writing coach to help you lessen some of your time, right? This program is scalable now, where you could have even more people in it every single month as you continue to grow with your leads and marketing and stuff like that. So that's awesome, actually. And so then what is your main lead generation now? Like, where are these enrolling?
Almost all of the people that I was telling someone recently that I have an 80% conversion, but
Yes.
it's because um, they so come from people that have already been in the program. There's that referral, but then there's
Nice.
also I'm doing a lot on social media, and I
Mhm.
try to have them talk to someone before they talk to me.
Oh, that's good.
So
That's
that
good.
just helps so much. So
Yeah.
I mean, I do like those 10 hours is teaching class, it's being available, but it's also writing the social media for the new
Okay,
people.
so you include your marketing in that. That's
Oh, yeah.
amazing then. So 10 hours a week to run this business, that's incredible. And then you have some private clients. So one of the things that we do in the academy is sales role plays, talking about what happens on your sales call. So when you come to the group, we have every Monday sales call, sales and mindset. So when you come to the call, Debbie would be like, okay, I had a call and then this person said this and then I said this and then they said that. And it's that working through the process of enrollment. And most of it's mindset, right? Most of it's what goes on for us and like clearing out all the stuff we have about sales and marketing and what are people going to think about me. And so for you to have an 80% conversion rate now, that's amazing. That is
It is.
amazing.
It is.
So doesn't it feel good to know that almost everyone who takes time on your calendar, can enroll? So, I mean, that's such a great feeling because I remember in the beginning of my business just doing like 10 calls in a month and like maybe only enroll one person. And it's because they weren't pre-qualified, they weren't warmed up enough. And when you mentioned that you get a lot of referrals and having someone talk to a referral or talk to someone, a graduate of your program, that's kind of like what our webinar does too, right? So when someone watches the webinar, they hear the core elements of what the program's about. They see a bunch of testimonials. And so there's nothing better than those testimonials, right? There's nothing better than that. So by the way, are you doing case study videos like this now with your program graduates? Because if you're not, I would say do it.
I think you're right. I think I need to do it.
That's your next. I will send you my case study training.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll send it to you because I bet your graduates would love to come on and talk about their experience.
I think they would. I think they would. I
Yeah.
had a real young one, and she went to her high school and told told everyone about Coach Debbie in Seattle, and it was just adorable. She wanted
amazing.
to write the story of her grandfather. It was really sweet.
That's amazing. That is so cool. So we've kind of covered, where you were before. It was kind of hobby stage. You were not having 10K months at that time. I don't think your pricing even would support that. So now you have pricing that can allow you to do even more than that. You have a business model that is scalable as you continue to grow. You close 80% of the people you talk to. You're getting clients from social media and referrals. What else is awesome? Like anything else that we haven't covered? I know there's some of money mindset. We said we were going to, like, anything you want to share about like the shift in that the last couple of years.
That was a biggie because when I came to you, I was I know I told you that I had seen your videos on money mindset and I just had to have that. But something that clicked in was that I know this is tricky for some people, but just the whole idea that I am being led to run my business. There's something that is in my future that helps me run my business. There's something in my faith that helps me run my business. There's something in being a follower of you and others and your sales curriculum and everything that allows me to be several months ahead and kind of pull myself along. And I wasn't doing that before. I was shouldering all the money responsibilities. It was just constantly on my shoulder. And now I feel like I'm being more led into my future. It's
I
just a
love
whole
that.
different shift.
I love that so much. Can you tell us maybe one or two or three things? I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, but what are a couple things that you learned in the academy that maybe now 2 years later ring even more true, where you kind of go, oh, I really get that now?
Oh man, there were so many things I didn't get on my first day in the academy. There were so many things. And when I would hear you talk, I'd think, well, that might work for her, but that'll never work for me. And one thing that I couldn't let go of was the amount of time that I had to nurture and be with any one person. I just saw that time equals excellence. Time equals the love. And if you're not just giving that client all this time and all this one-on-one, they'll never see all that you see in them. And you were like, no, Debbie, cut that. And I couldn't see that I would ever have a business if I took all that love and brought it to the classes.
Yeah.
So another thing,
that's a big one, and I appreciate you explaining it that way, because that was a hard one to wrap your mind around, and a lot of people take a long, and so not just you, which is why I appreciate you sharing, because a lot of people, but one thing I want to just really say, what makes Debbie successful is she was persistent and consistent. We all fall off the wagon sometimes. We all have a down period of time, but she came back to the things that we taught, and she was like diligent. And now she has the business that she wanted, that she said she wanted. She's created it. And a lot of things we probably said to you in the beginning that were hard to kind of, how is that even going to work? You're doing them now. It's working now. And you were just really persistent to the vision. And also you figured out your own ways. It's not like everything we say is like the gospel. Like it's up to you to innovate your business, but you kept the vision of how it could be possible, that you could have a scalable business, that you probably have way more time freedom and more money. It's like time freedom goes up, money goes up dramatically, right? And so I just want to point that out, is the people that are successful in the program, they're persistent and consistent and diligent. And when they do fall off the wagon, they come back again, and they get back on the horse is key, so that's really good. Is there maybe one more that's really stuck out that's been useful to this day?
I really didn't feel comfortable on social media when in 2018. I don't even think in 2018 I had ever done a live, of any sort. And I wasn't comfortable. I thought I was putting people out or something like that. And you'd be like, nope, nope, nope. And I think, why can't I be like Jessica and just like say no to the things that aren't working and yes to the things that will? But I watched you. And I would write up a post and I think I need to shorten it. And you go, no, you can talk on for days. The people that are going to follow you want to read what you have to say. They're there for you. And you had all this energy behind it. And I was just this timid little business owner just hopping along in my cute little thing going, but I don't know. And now, I'll just write these long stories. I'll go on and do Facebook Lives. I create groups. I do all this stuff because I'm thinking, if I'm really alive and excited to help people get that book from their head to the page, they've got to see that. They can't have me going, would you like to work with me? Maybe I think I could help. That's not attractive.
I love this so much. I remember when you were in a Tractor Soul Tribe and someone sent you $1,000 just because they liked what you were sharing. And that was such a cool manifestation.
You want to
Just,
hear the rest of that story?
yeah, I do want to hear the rest of the story.
It's quite a story. I I received $5,000 from that person over time.
Wow.
And this turned out to be someone from my deep dark past who was not nice to me
I didn't
and
know that.
was now a listener of my radio show
Wow.
and just kept saying, please keep doing what you're doing.
That's
You
really
know,
cool.
totally a healing story
Wow.
where I I had always wanted an apology and it came in this form.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And it just is so cool how that happened. Like when you, I mean, you've always been expressive. You're a writer and a writing teacher, but like when you started to break down those walls that we often have around visibility and the way social media triggers that, and you were even more self-expressive, that healing, like it was just,
I
we could
was
say
meant.
coincident. Yeah, it wasn't coincidental. It was like so perfectly aligned. That's
Yeah.
amazing. I didn't know the rest of the story. That's incredible.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
it took a long time for it to come out. It was anonymous for a long
oh,
time.
you didn't. That's right. You didn't
I
know who
didn't
it was
know.
sending you.
I had no idea. And so it took time to come out, but that really verified for me what you were teaching us, which
Mhm.
is the people that want to follow you and that want to invest their money and that are available and ready for what your business is about don't think you're rattling on. They
No,
don't think that. They
no.
want to know even more.
If anything, we don't share enough.
Yeah.
So tell everyone how everyone here who wants to get that book out of their head that they've been dreaming of and get it onto the page. What's the name of your program? What's the best way to reach out to you?
Sure. I have a radio show called Story You. It's Story You. And so my coaching program is Story You Coaching.
Love it.
And everything else is that Story You Writing.
Story
So
you.
Story You. And my website is Coach Debbie. It's DEBBY.com. And it's pretty minimal, but really it's just a quick reaching out and I send ideas your way. Follow me on social media. See if it resonates with you. And at some point, if it's starting to sound like that's exactly where you want to go, we're going to have a conversation. But sit with
Beautiful.
it, really take in some of those testimonies and those stories and just ask yourself, do I want to get this story out or am I just dreaming? And then
Yeah.
we'll know if it's time to go forward.
I love that. I love that. So Coach Debbie, DEBBY.com. Follow her on social media. I think it's great what she's saying, connect with someone's content, read some of the things they have, watch some of their videos, go through and acquaint yourself. And then, right? If it's time to write your book and that you connect with Debbie, and then that's when you have a serious conversation for people serious about getting their book written. And a lot of people, in this area and then also across the United States, it's not just, so Debbie and I live in the Seattle area, but across the United States, right? You can work with anyone
Absolutely.
online, virtually.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love it. Well, Debbie is an amazing resource. I know so many women in this group have a book in their hearts, so definitely reach out to her. And if you are ready to, like, if this is your year, you don't want to go into 2021 or into the new year not having your business foundation, not having your pricing, your business model, your messaging, your lead generation process and system set up, and your money mindset cleaned up and cleared up. If you want all of those things and can't envision yourself going into the new year with the same situation, then we would love to help you. We have the Academy. I don't know if you know this, Debbie. The Academy is now a 4-month program. So It's a little bit longer, so people can implement all that we're teaching, because it is a lot. There's 2 calls a week, and I personally help you with your messaging, your sales, your lead generation, creating your signature talk, all of it. And then we have Missy Strasner, our sales and mindset coach as well. So we are just, and then Ben Blackman, our Facebook ad manager, for those of you that want to actually start scaling and automating with Facebook ads. So we have an amazing team to support you. And all you need to do is private message me, and I will ask you some pre-qualifying questions, kind of see where your business is at and see if it's a good fit. And then if it is, we'll talk further. So please reach out to me about the Academy. If you want to get in, we have some special bonuses for November and December that you may not see again. So definitely message me. And I want to thank you, Debbie, for being here and sharing your story. I know so many people are going to relate. And I hope you have an awesome week, everyone. And we'll see you on the next interview. Bye, everybody.